hyperbole, poetry is on the way. Taking hyperbole, the poetry kettle is whistling, yay. Taking hyperbole, poetry and life and death and discussion. Sometimes hyperbole, sometimes hyperbole, and cake poetry is on the way.
Hello. How are you, Amy?
Good. How are you, Angela?
Good. I have a chupacabra that's like, I have to come up now because you got excited.
So, oh, wants to be part of the moment.
He does.
Oh, cutie.
So hopefully this doesn't last the whole time because your whiskers tickle.
Oh, the people would love it, though.
So how are you this amazing March?
Doing good, I think, just hanging out. It's a little gloomy. I think we're going to go into Kansas City after this and hang out because our kid's at a scout overnight. So,
oh, nice.
Hot dog, yeah.
Yeah, I can think of a lot of things that you could do with some time off from parenting.
I think it'll be small.
Yeah.
Yes, nice. What are you up to?
I have a bunch of projects to do, but so pretty much I'll be here watching the rain, which I'm actually really excited about because it will moisten my compost so that my compost will compost. We're actually on we're doing zero waste. Well, all right, go back. We're attempting zero waste.
Right.
And so now I have a bin of compostable like cardboard and stuff. So I am in that stage where I'm like, is my compost bin just going to be full of trash that blows around my yard and makes me look like that neighbor, or is this actually going to compost? So
yeah, a lot of people aren't used to the whole hippie way. I think you live in a good part of town for it because a lot more people are. I think when you get here is fine too. This might be a better town than like one of the nearby more suburbia towns,
Yeah. When all the houses look alike, you probably shouldn't have cardboard in your compost that could blow around.
Right. That's right. Our neighborhood, when I was a kid, I always thought when I'd walk to the mailbox, which is not right outside the house, it's all the way around the corner, which is weird because we live on a dead end. But I always thought this neighborhood looks like a board game because all of the houses were like some different bright color. And I'm like, oh, I love that. So that's always fun.
Oh, that's awesome. I think upcoming, we have in this show, I've got something from Pete Kelly, a video from Pete Kelly. We are actually broadcasting to YouTube like we normally do and Twitter right now.
Oh, cool.
So I didn't know that I could do that until like last week. I was like, cool. The more you know.
That is cool. Yeah, I didn't know that either. Huh.
Yeah. I mean, so hi everybody from Twitter, and I can only see YouTube comments though. And what else is going on? Oh, I have a list because I knew I would forget. Oh yes, and we will be talking about National Poetry Month and how we're doing a giveaway every day. And it's going to be very chill. Like every day at noon, this will pop up and there will be a giveaway. Amy may or may not be there. She's not obligated to be the poetry prisoner, but yes, there will be a video popping up, and we will be giving away, as soon as I find share screen, we will be giving away
this is exciting.
One of these poetic license. And Amy has the first one because she does have poetic license, but we're going to put together I guess I should kind of say so that I'm not obligating you. But hi, by the way, you're part of this.
Yeah.
Which I kind of knew about. I was like,
I think it's great.
I don't want to be that friend that assumes that you want to be part of this crazy thing, but you are my crazy friend that does that. My joy friend.
The answer is almost always yes. So
yes, well, officially I'm leaving you a back out, but we're doing this anthology, by the way, FYI.
Can't wait.
But to celebrate National Poetry Month 2022, gonna give away one of these certificates every day of April, and this certificate entitles you to give a poem to that publication, which will be ebook only, most likely, because that's easy and and we want to just get it where everybody can send it out and do stuff.
Right.
And yeah, and we'll work out other details, like, you know, if we're going to contribute the sales to something. I would like, I don't know what yet, but
that sounds like a great idea.
Yeah. So,
you know, lots going on.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So this is the plan and it's in the process. But yes, you can win one of these certificates, a poetic license, which will grant you the ability to send one poem into the upcoming anthology that as yet has no title because I have a chupacabra in my lap. Who just left. But yeah, so that's
the title.
That's that. And I'm going to try to pop on every day at noon and read a poem, an original poem.
Yes.
And very short though, you know, I figured just a very short drive-by kind of, and then give one of these away. But there's a lot of cool things coming up in April for Poetry Month because you got Poem in Your Pocket Day is one. And I thought we kind of have talked about doing a poetry, what do you call those, Amy? Like, you know, where we meet up at the library, like a bunch of people.
Flash mob or what have you.
Yeah, like a poetry flash mob, giving away books. And I do have a stack of poetry books like this. I think I had 16 that I thought about going up there and handing them out like Jesus pamphlets. What a poem book, what a poem book, what a poem.
Oh my gosh, I'm doing 100 poet portraits. I don't know if they're all going to be. I haven't locked myself into that, but it's day 21 of the 100-day project. I've been doing poet portraits every day so I could hand around some of those too, like original art, you know, just because I just never know what to do with all this stuff that I have lying around after I just create it. And so it never bothers me to be like, you like it, have it. So yeah. Well, so that's good. So because I'm sure I can scrape up some books, but I still have that problem of sometimes getting rid of some just because I love them. But I have some extras of like, you know, the Rilke and I don't know. I might have extras of some things I printed up way back when. We'll see.
That kind of happened yesterday because I had a panel to be on, and you know, you want to show off books that you know, like I recommend this book, and it's so much nicer to hold it up than to just talk about it. And so I had run through the house and grabbed all these books, and then I was like, if I give away all the poetry books I've already read, like then I can't. I don't have them for this.
I know.
So,
it's March 5th. I do my fun spending at the beginning of the month, and I've bought 3 books this month, and so I'm like, but also I've been trying to read books that I haven't read, and so I'm like, I think I should try and get to like my birthday, which is September, without buying any more books. But that means I'm gonna have to lock myself up in a closet and never look on Instagram and never listen to podcasts and never look at Amazon because that's where I get all my like book hunger.
You need it
from that. Oh yeah. Oh, and my husband's like, we're going to Kansas City. We can go to Barnes and Noble and Prospero's. You know, that used bookstore.
I've never been to Prospero's.
It's so cool. It's
great. We moved here, and that was on my list. But remember, we worked nights at first, and all that, and then COVID hit, and so we just haven't, you know.
Yeah. It's right across from De Bronx, which is a pizza place that we really like that has not had in restaurant dining since COVID. And it's like Hi Boy. It's like, I think they just don't have the staff now. I think they lost staff during COVID and now they just can't. So it's curbside and whatever. But we used to always go there like the week before Christmas. They had the big Union Station. There is a train that does a tour, like the Kansas City Northern or Southern or something that goes all around. It looks like one of those Thomas trains, except it's candy cane striped, and you go through all the cars, and they're all insanely Christmas decorated and tinsel-y and nutcrackers and all kinds of stuff that I just personally live for. And like we walk through it, we see all the electric trains in the place. You know, the kids can see Santa if they want. Clyde's 16 now, so he doesn't do that anymore. But and then we'd go to De Bronx and Prospero's, and so it's like
that's
big.
awesome.
Because a lot of those years we didn't live here. We lived either in Texas or Columbia. So it's like we're doing our Kansas City Christmas. So I love living here. I love it now.
I will say I love this area. That's why we bought a house. We never really wanted to like be stuck in an area, but I don't feel like we're stuck here. I adore this place. Even if we hybrid, like we might do the Brazil thing, but it's going to be hybrid, like coming back and forth. So
you'll have like a winter home and a summer home, and you'll be those people.
I know, only because it's so cheap in Brazil.
Yeah, that's how Romania was. Yeah. When I lived in Romania one winter, it was like if you want to buy this apartment, it is yours forever for $800. And I was like, I could probably scrape that up
Yeah,
if I wanted to.
my summer home.
I thought about it. Yeah, it's a neat, it's very hospitable country and I think beautiful, just beautiful. So
Yeah.
yeah,
I'm gonna go there sometime. And
I like
hello, Pete. Pete came on. So
Hi,
wait a minute, Pete. And we have your video came in. Got it. So that will be playing here in a few minutes.
And I've got a poem from Jim Hill to read as well.
Yay.
So
Yeah.
our good contributors.
And I do have a little bit of news. Like, this is a little bit of self-promotion, but Tortured Willows made the Stoker finalist. So super excited. It's the 4-poet thing that, with Christina Singh and Lee Murray and Genevieve Flynn that, we did.
And
but
Angela.
yeah. And me, yes, I'm also in it. But yeah, that's super exciting. That we'll find out in May if we win or not. But it kind of doesn't matter because, like, I always feel like if we got that far, that's the win. That is the win.
Yeah.
So I do want the trophy. Please don't give my trophy away if it's destined for me. But I'm super happy with that.
Getting to where you are in that is like, it puts it forward so people see it, and it's an important work that needs to be seen.
And that's kind of the point, is to get those voices out there, and that happened, and people listen, and so that's like huge thank yous. And then whether or not we actually win is cool, but this is what we came for, and that's awesome. And
so cool.
Side promo. This is also on the ballot, and this is a friend of mine, Marge Simon and Mary Terzillo. And yes, I know that technically, I guess we're competing, but this is an awesome.
This is Angela.
Yeah,
Angela's gonna pull for you.
Worthy. So if this wins the trophy, but also already a winner because they're up there. But I just love these. They've done these before, where it's like from the voice of the victim, little poetry collections and stuff. Very harrowing. It's definitely horror poetry, but so beautiful and worthy. So yes, these guys as well. Congratulations and awesome self-promotion done, and other promotion.
Hey, good work happening out there. That's awesome. I've seen so many good things pass through about Tortured Willows, and so that's really exciting that people are into it.
It was surprising because in our minds, we were like, well, we'll just put this little poetry book out, and probably for whatever reason, it's not like anybody's really going to notice it. So we're all kind of like, wow,
It's very exciting. Yeah. That makes me think better of the world too, that they care about important things and beautiful things and things that need to be known about. Yeah.
That has been, I just got a message that I haven't gotten to read all the way, but about how, that experience of like being in the military and seeing how the military guys, this is not an anti-military rant, before I get into this, but just the treatment of the men on these women. And so, that's why it was resonating. And I have to read the whole message because, like I said, I kind of been rushing this morning, but that's exactly why we did it. Have to open this dialogue, and that has been done. So
just to raise awareness. Raise awareness of something that's going on that people need to know about.
But like in general for all women, and I will not get on my soapbox too much, so don't click off. We will have poetry, but we were talking last night about women and violence and everything, and one of the things that was brought up was one of the authors had her book was about, it's kind of personal experiences that she wrote in fiction, and then one of the critiques was, this is not how a woman would act, blah, blah, blah. But this is a personal experience that she's, it is how she acted. And so her thing was like, sometimes you freeze. Everybody has different reactions. Freezing is and then that reminded me of that whole thing. Well, if she didn't want it, she should have said no. And it was like, well, if you're frozen in fear, you're probably not.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you know what? That's also not a great point from someone who would say that, because you can, even if you could say no, I don't think it's gonna help usually. Inside, once it gets to it, like a certain person, a certain point, whatever. But they would do that on Law and Order, where they would be like, well, I'm looking at this guy because his grief, like he heard his wife was killed and this is how he responded. I'm like, I am a very private griever. You know, people who saw me when my mother died and my father died probably thought I didn't care or didn't like them because I can't do that in front of people. It's like I have this bizarre ability to just, unless it was my child, I have a bizarre ability to just hold it together until I can be by myself. And it's like, so now automatically I'm a murderer, you know?
Yeah, I'm the same way though. I immediately suppress all emotion, and it's I think it's a survival mechanism.
Yeah.
I have to deal with this. So I'm not going to lose it because I got to deal with this. There's little things that have to happen. And once all of that is done, then the grief can come.
Once we have been strong for the people who needed us to be strong in that moment, then we can fall apart. And I think with my mom too, I fell apart so much, like in private. It took her like 7 years to really die when she was declining with dementia. So I just get in the car with my clove cigarettes, drive to the store, and play Oasis real loud, and be like, "Nah, I can just cry. It's great."
Yeah.
But no, it's like, things got to get done. People got to be able to. Yeah. So we're not murderers, world. That's the point.
Yeah, I was going to say, we have set ourselves up, though. If we do want to be murderers, we already have our alibi. Did you hear that? We're just not emotional.
We're emotional in private.
Yeah.
It's a style of
If
emotion.
I'm laughing manically over this, it's just the way I grieve.
Nervous laughter. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not a criminal.
A therapist. And if he were alive, he'd be telling you. No, he's alive and well upstairs, I promise. You can tell you. Oh, we've gone too far at last.
Canceled, banned.
Ooh, yeah. Hey, that's okay. You know, I think that would be great publicity for us.
Oh my goodness, I have tears coming out of my eyes. I suppose we should read some poetry.
I've got Jim's right here, a friend of the show and of our Third Sunday Poetry. Jim R. Hill has sent one called Clock.
Ooh.
I want a clock, amputated of arms, void of alarms, showing only a slim second hand, illustrating for once and for always that time is nothing if not perpetual and unceasing, unrestrained by markers, regarding hours and minutes, advancing tick by tick, a certain circular infinity. Jim Hill. I like that one. I like the internal rhymes and I love the rhythm of it, but also I was really identifying with that because weirdly, when he sent this, I was weirdly having one of those things where time just seemed to be tumbling because of what I wanted to get done and what was going on. And then at other times I'm like, why am I even here? It's been a couple of existential weeks, which because I skipped pottery last week. But so yeah, I thought, Jim, that was to the point. Thank you for sending me a poem. So
yeah, that kind of sums it up right now too with everything going on. I mean, it's just like the world has gone mad. And in some ways I'm like, why are we doing a little poetry show when there is like,
life, for me,
so
for me it's like I couldn't stop doing it. I think that's probably one of the things that people who are close to me are confused by what I do, like with my art and stuff. It's like, well, all I can do is bring joy and like little joy in the moment. And I frequently wish this held me back for years because I went to college. Okay. College effed me up. So many cute boys, but I'll tell you what effed me up was the fact that it was, you are supposed to only have important things to say and only have current events things to say. I'm not wired for that in the sense that I'm going to mess it up. I don't want to mess it up. I'm not that schooled in it. When I become schooled in it, it changes again. And it's not like I'm not interested. I am, and I know what's going on, and I'm paying attention, but I know I'm not. It's like that doesn't come out in poetry for me. What comes out is, oh my gosh, this cake. Oh my gosh, look at him and listen to his singing voice. People are going to need a little of that at a time like this. Yes, be aware of what's going on and do the good thing that's going to keep the world moving in the right direction. But when you're like, at the end of the day, all like from it, just read this little poem about, I don't know, the cat or the ocean or the teapot. I don't know. So,
well,
so
that's
yeah.
if we structure our lives full of like the deeper meanings and stuff, it's those little things, the little sparkles, the little joys that knit it all
Yes.
together, make it worthwhile,
Right.
So
There's a place for it. There's definitely
I
room.
honor your work.
Oh, thank you. I drew a poet earlier in the week. It was Randall Jarrell. That I told a story of being at North Independence Library when I was like 16 or 17, because I drove myself there, and I loved that library. This is the one that Angela and I used to work at last year. And they had the biggest selection of periodicals, and I like to look at old magazines from the 40s and the 60s. And so I was leaving the periodicals and walking past the nonfiction, which is where it still is, but a little different. And I saw this spine of this book just jump out at me, and it was Randall Jarrell poetry. And I think it jumped out because it was red. And so I liked poetry. So I was like, I'm going to look at it. And I opened right to a poem called A Girl in the Library. And I was in the library, and I was a hormonal teenage girl. And now, puppy, don't you know me by now? Anyway,
she's like, I'm a hormonal dog.
So there, we connected through poetry and hormones, and I was like, I mean, it might as well have been like an actual love affair that I had with Randall Jarrell in that moment, because I was like, he sees me even though he's dead. I didn't know this for years. He died under mysterious circumstances. He got hit by a car. So accidental versus like his wife. Yes, it was accidental. All his poet friends, he wanted that to happen because he had some depression, a lot of serious depression leading up a couple of years before. And then his final work was criticized by a critic as being like doddering infantilism. And I was like, what kind of an asshole? I mean, all I can see in that is, I mean, of course, that critic probably didn't know he was going to kill himself, but if he did, in fact, mean to be hit by a car or whatever, but in the middle of the night, walking on a highway. But anyway, it's like,
seem a little purposeful.
It's kind of like, are you a critic? Are you just going to say cruel things so that you'll look smart and important? That to me just like summed up my college experience. And so I was kind of like, damn it, world. There is room for Randall Jarrell. I adore his work. I adore it. I may just be one idiot, but I love him. And actually, I'm not, because other people responded when I drew that and were like, I love this poem by him and stuff. So
that's awesome.
All I'm saying is there's room for it. That's what I say. And I said it.
Yeah, your mission is, honestly, I mean, if you really think about it, it is just as important and deep as the only talk about, this and that, because you're an anti-critic. So you are like here championing all the lack of to stop the criticism.
Yes.
And I agree. It can be, I feel, it's my opinion, you can't really criticize poetry. You can criticize the mechanics of something like, there's a lot of typos in this, unless they meant on purpose, which is poetry, can happen.
Which is also happens, yes.
Yeah, but so say prose where you're not supposed to really have, any book. And so you can say that, like the mechanics, and a lot of passive voice here, or, they're switching POVs and it's making me confused. Exactly. But don't attack the person, and don't attack the message, because it just might not be for you.
Not my scene.
So, but the structure is, sure. And we can all be better at structure and like the mechanics of stuff. But
and try other things.
The message is valid just because you don't resonate with it, in any message. And I think that's part of the issue here. People don't like something because, like, I'm not romantic. We've all established that. I read a romance book and I'm like, that is just ridiculous. I don't care. B, nobody died in this book.
Whereas I'm like, it doesn't matter what sitcom I'm watching. Like, if I'm watching Warehouse 13, I am pulling for Pete and Micah to get together. I can't help it. There's part of me that is always like pulling for the romance. It's so silly, and I don't care. That's like how I write soap operas in my mind to fall asleep, and it's so much fun. It's like poetry, I see it as a human act. Yeah. And so what are you going to do? Criticize the way somebody like goes to the bathroom? No, because that's their human act that they are doing.
Exactly.
And in fact, my husband told me once, because he was a philosophy major, and I'm sure I've mentioned this before, was it Nietzsche who said, like, the way that Jason quoted him, forgive my upcoming French. And yes, I said that horrible English/American thing where you call something French if it's bad.
All
But
bad
anyway,
words are French.
That's right. Pardon my French, but Nietzsche said, you do it. This is my husband said, you do art and poetry because like taking a shit, you have to do it. And I'm like, yes.
That is true.
That's how it feels.
Yeah. Yeah, that's why I always say, even if I'm in an empty room, I will still be doing something. I have to do something because it just, otherwise it builds up in your head, I think, and you're going to just go mad if you don't release it.
You don't get relief from it. I
Yeah.
mean, it's so weird how writing it down in some sort of style.
Yeah, it's like Dumbledore's pensieve. You know, he had to take the thoughts out of his head, put them in the bowl. Now the head is clear. You know.
Yes, exactly. So that's what we want to say. That's what I have to say about all of it right now.
Just
Thank you,
to
Jim, for your awesome poem.
Yeah. Oh yes, yeah. That sparked this whole discussion.
Yes.
Just for contrast, though, you know, you said you dream of soap operas and stuff. You know, like to fall asleep.
I write stories.
So last night,
what do you do? Yeah,
this is happy. Okay, this is like a happy thing that I was thinking of. I had this little half dream that a giant spider, was eating me, and my spinal column fused, and all my nerves fused with him, and the spider and I became one. And I was like this centaur spider woman, and I was walking along with this huge spider butt. I know it's not called a butt, but you know, the big black widow part. And I was just like, fantastic. I was like, look at all my legs. I was like, so amazing. I can crawl up walls, but I'm giant. And then for some reason we woke up and my husband said something and I recited that dream to him. And I can't remember what he said, but it was something like, and I was like,
the Spider Woman.
Oh, so not glorious. Okay. But yeah, still glorious.
I love it. I love it. See, the way you told it and described it makes me want to draw it. Like you fused with a spider. Yeah. I mean, yeah, that's beautiful.
And I thought it was a very positive dream because it's like something is eating you, but now you are one. You know,
that's
you
gorgeous.
have, you know, so
there's so much metaphor in that. That should be our next. Okay, so our next month's poetry form should be Kiss of the Spider Woman, where something eating us gets fused with us. Okay, one moment.
Going on my note with synchronicity, I stand with spiders.
It's yes. So what's the name of the form? Do we have one? Let's see.
We
Angela
do not.
Okay. Fuses with spiders. Leads to new. We're just it's happening right now in front of you, world. Creating just one.
This is how we operate.
Sounds right. We got to make notes. Nothing happens if I don't write it down. That's what you'll learn. Everybody tune in. 100-day project. One of my 100-day projects is 100 days of songwriting. And the way that I give myself a day off from having to like every day come up with a little song phrase, which I could do, but it could get stale. And it does. Is to do Toolbox Tuesday. I did it on Thursday this week, but Toolbox Tuesday this week is going to be journals and notebooks and stuff. Oh, nice. So, oh boy, that's how anything happens and gets done. Okay, new poetry form: Spider eats you, and you fuse. We'll come up with a name for that. If not during this show, soon. Yeah. We've also got Third Sunday.
Is there something called fusion poetry? I bet there is.
Oh, I've got this right here. Let's take a peek. Fusion. It sounds familiar, but it might just sound good, and that's why it might sound right.
And we may have just invented it.
We might have. It might be now. Okay, there's fustian. I don't see it. There's fugitives to fustian. Okay, fusion poetry.
All right, you saw it here live. It is not in the Poet's Glossary, which I have a copy of too. Thank you to Amy.
Yay! And thank you to the library that I tell you, I have weird shaped ears, and so these kick them out. And my hair's in the way, and la la la. There we go. Okay, got it.
All right, fusion poetry just happened. We'll figure out what that means.
Yeah. And we'll let you know.
For me, probably a half an hour before next Cake and Hyperbull.
You just write down that dream in that beautiful way that you told it. You're set. Okay, speaking of us inventing forms. Oh, do you want to do Pete's poem and then we can look at picture skew? Yeah.
Yeah, yes. And I still have to do my picture skew.
That's cool.
Because, it's been a week and 2 weeks.
All right.
3 weeks, a month. But
It's
yes.
been a couple of sessions, but that's all right. Okay, yes, let's have Pete's poem. That'll be like, what is next?
Oh, and you know what I just realized?
Hmm.
Let me download this.
And so anyway, folks, you're watching Cake and Hyperbull, and we just invented spider fusion poetry. I have to use the word spider. A spider, though I am frightened of them to a degree, I love the word. I love the word, and I love that couple of days in homeschool that we did like Spider Week or whatever, and the yoga pose and Spider Friend. And
I do. I have a spider fascination, and I do have it uploaded now. So thanks for
good.
covering for
We're
me.
ready.
I do have a spider. I had a spider phobia. Oh, thank you. And that's why I love them so much now. It was that whole conquering of the spider thing. So that's, to me, they represent, got over it.
That's, oh man, I don't know if that's ever going to happen with my phobia of vomit, but I will tell you this. When Jake the dog on Adventure Time got vomited out by that giant baby man who had the dollar, he says, stomachs are weird. And I'm like, that's what I'm going to say. That's what I'm going to say. Next week, when I overnight and take care of my sister's 2 young boys, and one of them inevitably vomits, I'm sure that will happen because I'm afraid of it. I'm going to be like, stomachs are weird, baby. Stomachs are weird. Okay.
Love that. All right. I got Pete right here. And this is Pete Kelly reading his poetry. We love his accent. We love his poetry. Thank you, Pete, for the treat. That was my poem just now.
Hello, it's Pete from Portsmouth with a couple of poems. The first one is called Born of Legend. Existence has borne us into myth, a prize of man's informed ignorance. I observe your decay with concern, walking among your social deviants. The pavement echoes my footsteps, resounding about a maze of human existence. Flashing shop signs jostle for attention within this self-commercial expanse. Oh, you spoilt children of mortality, directionless save for self-exploit, wander this world uninvited, seeing only with covetous eyes. Open windows beckon me welcome. My coldness precedes an entrance. Visualized by this crawling mist, billowing menace in appearance. You retreat within your blanket's comfort, to stand at ease your body hair. All the logic of a skeptic deserts you, gliding within your disbelieving stare. The sensuous euphoria of blood, gyrating my head as I lick my lips, suspended in the pose of that missionary, to mock the conviction of a crucifix. I read thoughts confused and helpless, closing my eyes to imagine your fear. To tease oneself is such delight. Till I can bear no more, I release my hunger. I crawl like the parasite I am. Magnetic stare holds you paralyzed. As I enter your world from myth, your ignorance of legend is realized. Prone to the weight of advancing horror, my will penetrates your delicate protection, drawing the curtains of your resistance, smothering senses within a mind's suffocation. I gorge upon the taste of sensual musk, intoxicating a need to feed. Effortlessly I glide to release a flood of experience and emotion as you bleed. Taken to a pleasure short of nausea, as the blood pumps down my throat, so willing to leave this fragile creature, helpless as my prey, doomed without hope. Just another unexplained death to you who choose not to believe. Covered up beneath a blanket of denial, an ancient truth you fear to perceive. Thank you. And this one is called Return of the Empty King. Hung low my head under light of sense, truth slow to dawn after a dream sets, banished to return from whence I came, for the fool was me and no other to blame. Chains to bind myself, never again to venture, a heart locked away, secure from my dementia. Knowledge I forsook in love's vain attempt. Forever shall I hold this fool in contempt. Smile for me no more, fate and destiny, for I choose a future empty in my regality. Thank you very much. Thank you. Bye.
Woo.
Nice work,
All
Pete.
right. Yeah.
Woo. That blood pumping down the throat. I was like, whoa. So
I was like, Pete's the whole package. I didn't know if you could see I was a little bit like blushing because I'm an accent person, and the poetry and his look and all that was very well done.
It was fun. That was a lot of fun.
Pete sends us something just about every a month, every cake in Hyperbull, and I'm almost thinking we need to have a Pete pause or something. Like this is a regular feature.
Yep. Jim always sends one too, and he lets me to read and interpret it, which is always fun. But I really appreciate our regular contributors. That's really a blessing. So awesome.
Thank you, Pete. And like, if I was going to say this is a poet, like in the dictionary, let me draw you a picture of a poet and what he sounds like, and it's Pete Kelly. That's who would be in my dictionary.
Pete's got good stories to tell.
Yeah,
and he tells them well.
Yeah, so thank you. Much applause. I actually have lunch that was just delivered to me by my husband. And I was like, I'll have a quick bite. I got so lost in the poetry that I forgot.
Well, that's okay. Do you have I'll read the picture skew that I wrote. Do you have the picture? I realized I didn't print it off. And,
yes, but give me 1 second.
Yes, and I will say that I wrote this. This is the form that we kind of came up with because Angela had a school experience where, when you're a kid and you don't know how to say every word because you've only seen it in print and you haven't heard it said, the word was picturesque, and Angela said picture skew, and it was an incident with her teacher. I don't know why teachers. That's another thing. That teacher is like that critic. Yeah, I know. It's like, are these kids? Come on. And so anyway, we decided, well, why don't we do one of those like fold it into panels pages, and then we each like contribute part of the drawing. We do it in 4 panels where one of us starts it, gives it to the other one. We live in the same town. And then you open it up and it's this crazy, wacky, wonderful thing. I love the cat you drew. So I wrote a villanelle. I wrote a villanelle because it's a form I like. It's got like groups of 3-line stanzas, and then the final stanza is 4 lines. There are a couple of lines. The first line and the third line keep showing up again. And I was doing Toolbox Thursday, dumped out some of my idea slips for songwriting, and one of them just said villain of the villanelle. So I made a little tiny scrap of a song about it, and that was on today's 100 Days of Songwriting. And then I thought I should write a picture skew villanelle. So being a villanelle and having the rules that it does for repeated lines and rhyme scheme, it looks at the picture and it basically like plays with the form. So that's what you're getting in this picture skew villanelle, while Angela graciously holds up our picture skew picture. Okay.
We'll keep rotating it because we keep
we
different angles.
It is. It's like a rotating picture because we don't know what we're adding on to when we do it. All right. The moon oversees our cabaret ghost. The fat cat just sits there composing a verse. The picture enchanted holds us engrossed. The puppet man rings the chime, raise a toast, triggering gadgets to summon our curse. The moon oversees our cabaret ghost. Waterfall bids moon take over as host. Waterfall words make drunken disperse. The picture enchanted holds us engrossed. Piano keys spell out their cabaret boast, a message melodic, a call for the hearse. The moon oversees our cabaret ghost. The cat composes a cabaret toast to delight all revelers' revenant thirst. The picture enchanted holds us engrossed. The cabaret crowd dreads her singing the most. The villainous puppet makes everything worse. The moon oversees our cabaret ghost. The picture enchanted now holds us engrossed. Picture skew. So yeah, fun.
Very cool.
Those
Yeah,
are so much fun.
Yeah, I'm excited to actually do this. This is why it's like right here. So I will be doing that. I don't know if it'll be as clever as Amy's, but
Well, I had to have a villain now. That's how it all works together. Songwriting, drawing, and poetry. It all just kind of like I borrow from this and that and this and that and carry a theme sometimes. So
whatever works. I had that long 15,000 word story to do last month. That was like the thing that was haunting me. Finally finished it. It's all done, but I threw some poetry in there because I was like, oh my God, I need like 200 more words. And I was like all dried up.
Yeah, so poetry is a good break.
Yeah. And so I actually wound up writing because it's not in Okinawa, but I wanted to use the World War II in Okinawa. But I felt like that's not my pain. I don't own that. Kind of like what you were saying. So I don't want to misrepresent it.
Right.
I didn't experience it. Nobody, well, I'm sure I have relatives that experienced it. But my direct family was not there experiencing it because they left, I think, like the year before.
Ooh.
Gotta love being Yuta, you know. Woo, what's coming? Something bad. Let's move.
Yeah. I mean, that doesn't hurt. Oh my goodness.
So, sorry, a Chihuahua moment.
Oh.
So
so it's incorporate some poetry.
Yeah, so I did that, and I wound up the goddess of Okinawa is Amamikyo. She's the creator goddess. There's creator goddesses all over the place. So I wound up writing a nursery rhyme because I needed a nursery rhyme, like a child's. And then I was like, wow, I can't get that out of my head now. And I'd have to go look at it. And it's also a nursery rhyme. So it's like, I mean, it is poetry, but it's a nursery rhyme.
But those are so great because they stick with you forever. So if it was in your head, it was accomplishing its mission. Yeah.
Hello.
Nice. Hello, puppy. Oh, full of love. Full of love today.
There we go. But I do actually have one of the poems that I wrote from there. So that's like that double purpose. I was like, oh, and I can use this for cake and hyperbull.
Yes.
And I can use this for, okay. All right, I'll do this. And it's like 200 more words. It's not 200 words, but it's more word count that I need.
It gave you there. Yeah. Got you part of the way there. Yes. I love it. All right.
Chihuahua is like, oh, there's lunch over there. No, we're not gonna eat that right now.
Oh, the wheels are turning.
Yeah. I'll read that real quick, and then
do.
And then I have my poetry contribution, and I did read this for our super loyal people that watch us. They'll recognize this because I read it for our third Sunday. Thank you, third Sunday thing as well. Which is on your Instagram Live.
Yes.
So this is we can't see the forest. And it's a little bit of a commentary, not really a political commentary, but a commentary, which I guess right now is actually really pertinent because we are at war. And I wrote this before any of that had actually happened.
Yeah.
So, we are the trees, you and me, a stalwart oak, a tortured willow, but we don't stand alone on this island. This isn't my land or your land, but an our land, created for all different tree with all manner of barks, needles and pins, opinions and sins, watered with sorrows and tomorrows, coming up empty in our land of the free, where the prices are so high, we die buried in debts to society, to you and me. We quibble over what's owed, the lines towed, straining at the roots, blaming and naming a wandering scapegoat, oblivious and passing by. He doesn't care, isn't aware of our righteous rage, and he wanders on what we say, stuck in our dirt, playing blame games for hurt. We think we're alone, but how can we know when we can't hear the breeze? The trees fall, but there's no one to hear, even though you and I are both here. But in our pile of denial, we are blind and we can't see the forest, the bigger picture for the trees. And that
Good stuff.
is that. But yeah,
I
double
like that
duty.
Yes. Awesome. And it is. And it's a good, like, a lot of good word collection and phrase collection and and pertinent, like you say. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. You know, I was
Totally.
wondering though recently, because I saw somebody talk about spoken word, and it
Yeah.
was kind of like a derisive, I'm not spoken word. And I was like,
love spoken word.
well, that's what I was like, am I doing hallucinism or spoken word? Like, well, it's not written to perform. So I was like, I guess it's not really spoken word, but that's led me down a rabbit trail, because hallucinism, for anybody who's not watching, that's kind of like the new thing that Amy introduced from our beautiful Poets Glossary. And I fell in love with it. But I was like, what's the difference between hallucinism and spoken word?
Yeah, I think this, because we listened and saw some spoken word during college, because we lived in Columbia. I didn't ever see Henry Rollins, but the guy that I ended up marrying, who's upstairs right now, had recordings of him, and we would listen to him a lot. I think if I use that as an example of what I experience spoken word as, I think it's like they talk about, it's commentary kind of on like life and what's going on and just what certain observations. Hallucinism is definitely observations, but to me, okay, how did you describe it? I've got the Poets Glossary right here, but I'm gonna think if I can say it. Rimbaud, like Arthur Rimbaud, the French poet, had a real, like, find the most excellent words. And so there's this reverence for words. There's this elevate, oh my gosh, kind of like what I kind of sort of do. Elevate the everyday because of these beautiful words. And in a hallucinated city by the guy who invented hallucinism for the span of one book in like 1922, Mario de Andrade, he's like walking through town talking about what's going on in this building and what's going on with these people and observation of this ballet dancer and stuff like that. So they're both like observation of a time and a place, but I feel like spoken word that I've heard is a lot more like, this is my opinion on this. And I guess that hallucinism does that too, but there's the elevation, the importance of the beautiful words and the elevation of just this every day. So they're elevating it, whereas spoken word might be criticizing it, might be saying funny things about like making it comedy or making it whatever, entertainment. So I mean, there is probably a lot of parallel, but that's how I
overlap. But okay. Well,
I love hallucinism.
Yeah, me too.
Drunk on it. Yeah,
the freedom. I've been having a lot of fun with it.
Yes, I love what you've been doing with it. It's been a treat, and I love what Mario Andrade did with it. I love how it inspires me. It's, you guys, get into it.
If that Mario Andrade picture is one of the ones that you're giving away, like I'm fighting for that. I'll be like, oh hell no, that's mine. Here,
I'm gonna
poetry book. Slap.
I'm gonna sign it to my biggest hallucinism freak, dear Angela. Love Mario. I'm gonna sign it to you from him, and I just have the poetic license to do that. That's my power. So
you do.
It's my superpower because I'm just gonna do it. So there, world.
That's what we do. We just invent stuff when we don't know what it is.
We just don't. Okay, now I'm really gonna give you guys something to ponder. All right, I've got big things. The moon, Nick Cave, how the world converged while I was sitting in the waiting room while my husband was in with the chiropractor several days ago. It was just like, I had been watching Dandy. If you've heard of this film called Dandy, 1988, Peter Semple, the filmmaker. It's a German film, and it is basically a very artistic bringing together of a lot of art things going on in Berlin, like 1988. So of course Nick Cave is there. Of course Blix Bargeld is there. Of course Nina Hagen and Lena Lovitch and all of them are there. And doing very wonderful poetic things, sometimes things that are difficult for my faith, because they're like, there's this one chick who's reading this poetry that's just skewing my Lord Jesus, but I still cannot stay away from this Berlin art scene, y'all. So you know, you kind of like get inspired where you get inspired. There is a moment. Okay, first of all, I'm trying, like, the very first pizza box nude, I didn't mention this to you. The very first pizza box nude I ever drew was Blixa Bargeld when he is nude in that, like, this is great. I had not seen the context before. There's a ballerina or a dancer, somebody very flexible and beautiful, doing these like back bends on the floor and stretching out in these gorgeous, like, visual poetic ways. And then they'll cut to Blix Bargeld spazzing naked on the floor as if he's in some sort of drug situation, which he would have been, but I don't know if this one was like, okay, you're not really in this drug moment, but say that you are and do it and act it out. So that was the first pizza box nude that I drew. And so it was so good to see it all come together. But then Nick Cave, who I never want him to capture my attention above Blixa. There's this competition in my mind that's going on where I'm like, no, never more Nick than Blixa. No, I won't. I don't know why. Probably because I majored in German. I don't know. But anyway, I bought this instantly. Nick Cave's novel, which is called And the Ass Saw the Angel. It's like a gothic, he's from Australia, but it's like a gothic southern US kind of novel. Anyway, there's a moment in Dandy where he reads from it. And I thought he was reading a poem. And I've been obsessed with Michelle Lindsay. Here's one of my poet portraits. Michelle Lindsay, who died in 1931. That's just to give 1870 to 1931 was when he lived. Wrote like 30-some poems about the moon. Then Nick Cave starts reading this poetic prose about the moon and in Dandy. And I'm like, oh my God, is he? And I thought for a moment he was reading Michelle Lindsay and I almost flipped out. But then I was like, what's that from? What's it from? I looked it up. It's from his novel. It's poetic prose from And the Ass Saw the Angel, which it's not in the public domain, so I'm not going to read from it. But he just starts making all these comparisons with the moon. I'm going to read a few. So here we've got his moon comparisons: a slice of lemon rind, a reaper's tool, a single slipper made of glass, a sinister fin. So I was in the chiropractor's office trying to hold it together while Nick Cave was doing that. And then the next day at the chiropractor's office, because my husband had something that was getting worked out, and I was driving him to be nice, I was making my cake and Hyperbull list, and I started thinking, something about that Nick Cave poem in the moon, something from Michelle Lindsay, read one of his moon poems. And then I remembered something I'd already put in a post that Michelle Lindsay, whose name was Nicholas Michelle Lindsay, and his mother's maiden name was Cave, had a son named Nicholas Cave Lindsay. Oh my gosh, moon poetry. And the Ass Saw the Angel, Michelle Lindsay, Nicholas Cave Lindsay, and like right there in the chiropractor's waiting, I was just like, oh, when things like that happen, I just want to start singing, and the rest of the world's like, huh? So it's kind of what it's like, you know. Yeah. But
I can just see it. The receptionist looking at.
Yeah.
Do you need help? The bathroom's that way.
That's right. Second door on the left. Poor pregnant gal. She just kept having the hiccups. That was the last thing she needed. But anyway, so that was a hoot. So I thought, okay, so I read a couple of that, told you about Dandy and his novel. I'm going to read one of Michelle Lindsay's moon poems. They're all in the public domain. You can look up Michelle Lindsay public domain and you'll get a good list. You can look up Michelle Lindsay moon poems public domain and it'll give you like 40 poems. I love him so much. Okay, let me see. Where did it go? And then I've got a poem about him I'll read whenever time permits. I know we need to work. Okay, it's short. It's called The Encyclopedia. If I could set the moon upon this table, said my friend, among the standard poets and brochures without end, and noble prints of old Japan, how empty they would seem by that encyclopedia of whim and glittering dream. So the moon here is an encyclopedia of whim and glittering dream.
My voice actually just cracked. I feel like,
because I get it. Oh, Michelle. Baby. Oh my goodness. So anyway, I'm in love with that dead man. The end.
That is okay.
Gonna knit that on a sweater. Yeah.
dead guys I love. Here's the list.
That's right. List them on the back of the sweater. Michelle Lindsay and so forth. Yes.
That'd be funny. You could actually do like the days that they passed away. Not the days, but like the years, kind of like a concert tour sweater.
Oh Oh my gosh, wouldn't that be great?
Well, I want to hear.
Okay,
I know we are running out of time, but I
Yeah.
actually really want to hear the moon poem. Then.
Oh, okay. Let's see. Which one?
What you just said, like you said,
yeah.
you have one. So.
I do. Okay. I've been working on, I have a couple. I do have a moon poem that I wrote in the bathtub. Here's my standard visual so that you don't have to picture me in the bathtub. That's what I looked like when I was doing it. But I also have one from, I'm going to tell real quick about a project I've been working on, and I don't know where to send it because it's a chapbook. So we're all going to have to figure that out. There's a place I sent one a couple of months ago and I heard nothing. I heard, no, we received it. Thank you. We'll let you know. So I'm like, oh, it says on their website they're still taking them. But I can't tell if, like, they're kind of bossy. They're like, we do beat-driven poetry, which I frequently do. But it's like, it's kind of like, and we don't recommend rhyming, and we don't recommend she poetry, which I had to look up to figure out what that was. It's a
I'd have to
trendy
look
thing.
that up.
It's a trendy thing where they're like, she blah, 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 blah. It's kind of just like, it's okay. It's poetry. There's room for it. I'm just saying they don't like it. So I'm kind of like, I didn't do that, but at the same time, they sound kind of picky and like they publish a lot. Well, what they have for sale in their shop right now is 3 chapbooks, 2 of them by men, another by somebody with just initials. Maybe they don't like chicks. I don't know. I'm not telling who they are because I don't want to be a jerk. But I will see. The thing that I ended up working on, I didn't mean to write a chapbook a month in 2022, but Atlas Obscura did, I can't remember if I mentioned this already. They did an article about hot soda, which was a thing, like
I've never heard of it, and I've not heard this. So
early 1900s to like 1930s, right around when Vachelle Lindsay was doing some moon poetry, they like soda shops like Clinton's, or places that sold like ice cream and sodas and stuff like that. I'm from Kansas City, so I always say pop, but ice cream, soda stuff and phosphates and whatever. They had problems during the winter because business would drop off because everybody goes in there for something cold. So all of these journals from the soda shops start saying, hey, here's what you can do. Heat up this and heat up that. And, oh crap. See, I can only find one page of the poem. I might have to read the other one. Oh, I found it. Okay, goody gumdrops. That's what I've been doing, like shuffling through my pages while I tell this whole background. So I was so fascinated with this Atlas Obscura article, Gastro Obscura, about hot soda and stuff they would do that I just end up going, I'm like, I'm going to write a chapbook about it. And I'm just going to incorporate whatever I think about when I'm going to sleep at night and somehow incorporate hot soda. So here's my one that is about Vachelle Lindsay. Here he is once more. And I'm going to read it. Every poem starts with her habit is. It's to go to sleep at night. Her habit is a soda shop in winter. You appear noble, a genuine crazy, said your brother poet, Frost. The people flock in from slippery sidewalks for a hot soda to warm their bones, for steaming tonics, headache elixirs, boozeless digestifs, nerve food, brain food, exhilarates. Cities 1912 afternoon tasks, promising. Your voice, buzzing, a throat singer's, shuttles poetry to song along the threads. You trade your verse for bread. If we were ghosts in love, you said, but not to me. You are 90 years dead, and who is left to croon it? I croon it here. If we were ghost lovers, ghosts and lovers, ghostly lovers. You are a man with visions of Christ. You are a poet who sang of the moon and loved the heart of God, yet drank a bottle of Lysol, a beautiful bewildered, a genuine crazy, and otherworldly. If we were ghostly lovers, here we'd sit at the soda counter, on the laps of the living, and enter them movie ghost style, for a warm taste of lemon phosphate with ginger, and smile at our moon bright skulls in the mirror.
Wow.
Oof. What he does to me is that. All right.
Wow. All right. On that note, that was awesome.
Thank you. He wrote a poem that might be familiar to some people called The Congo. And there is a scene in Dead Poet Society, if you saw it as many times as I did when I was 14, where those beautiful young men are having their Dead Poet Society meeting out in the cave. And it's just like this cut scenes where it's like this poem, this poem, this poem. And then there's the nerdiest guy. He's the Latin tutor. And he's got this flashlight in this poetry book, and it's 1959, but it sounds like a rap. He's like, then I had vision, then I had religion. I could not turn from this revel in derision. Then I saw the Congo creeping through the black, cutting through the forest with a golden track. And they all go out doing that poem, and it's Michelle Lindsay. So,
oh, that's awesome.
So watch that scene, cave scene poetry, Dead Poet Society,
Nick
whatever.
Cave, oh
my gosh. My basement is exploding. Just look out your window to the southeast and you'll be like, that's Amy's house that just exploded because of
there
poetry.
it is. I see the
There
smoke.
it is. Yep. I am a ghost at the soda counter with this guy. We're gonna have some phosphate. So everybody enjoy your Saturday.
I was, my morbid mind, I was thinking, if Amy, well, not if, I guess, because it is like something that will probably happen to all of us at some point. But yes, when Amy passes, I could just see this like ghostly harem of, caves there and all these ghosts. And then perhaps the husband joins at some point and goes, oh, do I have to take a number?
He'll be like, I'll just go get my bass guitar. It's cool. Yeah.
We're all good here. Because
they're all like, we've been waiting.
Yeah, we're ghosts and we can do whatever we want.
All right. Fun. Oh my gosh, that's going to be some poetry. I love it. All right. So we've got food for thought. We've got that, and we've got spider fusion poetry. And
and I'm sure that there is something called fusion poetry. That just seems like there must be that out there.
Sounds familiar, but if we add spider, I bet it's ours.
Yeah, and it has something to do with 8, and that's why it's spider fusion, because there's like 8 stanzas or something.
Yes, or 8 lines.
Yeah,
well, I'm gonna put an 8 in a square, and we'll figure out what we're doing.
What's going on.
Yeah.
This is how it happens, guys. This is how the crazy ideas get happening. But before we go, if you would like to be one of these crazy ideas, join us next month. It's going to be every noon, and you might win a poetic license. We'll give them away right here on the stream. I'll be coming in at noon. Sometimes with Amy, sometimes not. It just depends on what happens. But I know I can be here every noon. I don't want to obligate anybody else. Who knows who else might be here for that? We don't know.
It could be exciting.
It'll be all April, every April at noon-ish. And I will give away a poetic license to whoever's watching. And that will be the invitation to contribute a poem to an ebook anthology we will put together of all the poems through the month. So, and I'm going to say you can win more than once. So,
yeah. If you had more than one poem, that could be cool. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Fun.
That, is that, and that will be starting up next month for
that's
National Poetry Month.
I can't wait for National Poetry Month. I mean, we had a great celebration of it last year, but this year also just looks like we're stepping it up. I don't know if we'll do a live we did last year. We only had third Sunday poetry. Now we also have Cake and Hyperbull, but last year we did every Sunday live. So maybe we can split it down the middle if we decide to do more. Maybe we can do one more Cake and Hyperbull or one more live on Instagram and see. And that way, just if we got a lot of bonus stuff going on. But if the lunchtime stuff works out to be plenty, it probably will be plenty because we'll be reading a poem every day. Giveaways. Yeah, let's plan on that. That sounds really good.
All right.
So I love it.
That's coming. And can you think of anything else? I think that's it from me.
I'm out of words. We're gonna go to Kansas City and be wordless. So
awesome.
If you can imagine. My husband will do the talking. He's a very good talker. So, I'm just getting my words in while I can here.
Exactly.
All right,
awesome.
gang.
Well, thank you, everybody. Thank you, Pete. Thanks for all the comments. Oh, Pete's comment, Genuine Crazy. Love it from your poem.
I love that man.
He is awesome.
Pete and Vachelle. Yes, I was thinking of Vachelle Lindsay, but I don't want Pete to think that I didn't mean him. Love our contributors. Thank you, Jim, for contributing. Always. You guys enter those things, and we will bring you into our anthology, which is going to be a killer.
Yep.
Yeah. All right.
Okay,
guys.
I guess we'll see you all later. Bye, everybody, and happy impending National Poetry Month.
That's right. See you then.